All right. So thank you guys for coming to our Norristown Area High School College Planning for Senior Year Class of 2026. So if I haven't met you before, my name is Nicole Renee Mitchell. I'm the College and Career Counselor at Norristown Area High School. I have been at Norristown Area High School since 2004. And from the survey that I did last night and just knowing you guys, none of you were born at that time, right? The parents were, the guardians were, but not you guys. And as my grandma will always say, you haven't even been thought about. You weren't even thought about at that time. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to go through all of the planning that you guys need to do to get ready for this school year. So some of you guys were here in the spring. Right before school ended, where we did our planning for summer. So there's going to be just a little bit of that information in here as repetition, but just a little bit. Okay, so it's going to be a lot of new information. Okay, all right. So that's just a little bit about me here on the screen. I graduated from Lincoln University, which is Historically Black College and University, or HBCU, with the bachelor's in psychology, and did my graduate work or master's degree at Lehigh University. I've written a book, a college planning book for middle school and high school parents on how to get your kids through high school and to advocate for yourself. My inspiration of doing the work that I do was I raised two daughters, and that's actually how I got into college planning, because when I was a regular school counselor, a traditional school counselor, I was really excited and could not wait to start working with my student because I thought I was hot stuff at that time. And then as I started to go through the process, I realized there was a lot of things that I did not know, because we give you guys information and tell you what to do to get ready for college. But there's a lot of things that happen on the parent side that we never have to deal with in school. So that got me curious about this side. My favorite grade was 8th grade, probably because I did it twice. That's a whole nother story. And then my favorite people are my Aunt Gladys, who passed away maybe about 10 years ago, and my nephew Sebastian, who's getting ready to turn 11, but he's going on 95. He thinks he is really grown and really old, and he's fascinating. All right. Okay. So this is what we're going to go over tonight. We're going to do a little bit of breaking news. We're going to talk about how to work with me and your counselor, how to establish timelines for your applications. We're going to talk about the components of a strong college list, increasing your chances of receiving scholarships and other financial aid, and becoming a standout candidate with the college admissions officers. Okay. So this information is going to be on my website, and I'll put the link in here in a second. And I'm also going to give you guys access to a handout that we gave out last night. I'll give you the link to the handout, and if you guys come to see me down in the guidance office anytime this week, I'll give you the physical handouts that you need. So most of the key things that I am going to talk about tonight are going to be in that particular handout. So this is just some examples of what we have going on the college planning side. So on August the 28th, we're going to start our college application blitz. Your counselors will be very, very busy when school starts, and some of you are ready to get started now. And so obviously they're not going to have time to see you. So I'll be doing some small groups down in my office to talk about some things outside of what we talk about tonight, and to get you started on our new college planning software called SCOIR, SCOIR. Get you started on the common application and just go over some other general items. So that's going to happen that way. We're also going to have an SAT and ACT blitz. So for those of you who have not signed up for your test, or you're going to take another test, we'll go ahead and get that ready for you guys too. Then we're going to have a college fair prep workshop coming up on October the 10th. That'll happen during 3 sessions during the day. We have a college recruiter coming in to do those sessions with us. And as you see here, we have a whole bunch of different things. And so I'm not going to go through the whole calendar because some of this will pop up in the presentation that we have. All right. So again, I'm going to send you the links to the slides for the whole presentation. And I have some handouts to give you guys so that you'll have that for future reference. Okay. All right. So I know I did this right when we started, but more people came in since we started. So I would like to know who is in the room. So again, drop in the chat. Let me know if you are a student, parent, guardian, big brother, sister, neighbor, auntie, uncle, grandma. Put it in the chat for me. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Let's see who's here. Let's see who's here. All right, y'all are moving fast now. Student, parent of a senior, parent, student, parent of a 12th grader, parent of a senior, student, parent of a senior. All right. All right, so we have everyone represented here tonight. That is great. And guess what? We want to start out on a positive note because I'm going to give you guys a lot of information. So this is what I'm going to promise you during the course of this school year. I'm not going to make you any promises that you're going to get into Harvard and get into Princeton and all that kind of stuff, right? I'm going to promise you that we're going to walk with you every step of the way. We're going to make this as simple for you as possible. And as long as you follow the steps that we suggest here, you guys are going to have a very successful application system. Application season, right? And so that is why you're on here early. You guys are here before school starts, which I think is absolutely amazing. Even for those of you who have not done anything yet, even though we highly recommend that you do things over the summer, right? But by you being here, you're showing that you're trying to be proactive and you're trying to get the information, okay? All right, so we're going to keep moving forward. So let's give you a little bit of tea before we get into the meat of our presentation. Okay, so there are going to be a few colleges that are going back to requiring testing. So not a whole lot, but there are going to be more. The schools down in Florida, schools down in Georgia, they pretty much were requiring testing during COVID, so that's the same. But there are some other ones that are going to be doing that. So even though I know a lot of you will be going test optional, we still ask you guys to go ahead and take that test anyway, because you never know, you may do exceptionally well, or you may do good enough for certain schools that you're applying to. Okay, so we want you to just go ahead and take it, but just don't send it out yet. All right, so number 2, the FAFSA will be on time this year. So I know there was a lot of drama the last 2 years about FAFSA this and FAFSA that, but they started doing some beta testing in August, which basically means they opened it up for a small group of people. So a couple of schools across the country had FAFSA nights, and the FAFSA people actually was sitting there in real time. And as they went through the system and they found any errors in that system, they would report it to the IT people and they would fix it as they were literally going through the test. And so from what they've been saying, I've been on about maybe 4 webinars in the last month or so. All of them from different organizations were saying that everything looks really good for FAFSA this year. For those of you who did FAFSA last year, they even changed some things for this year for the better. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But can I give you the hot tea? So drop in the chat, Miss Mitchell, please give me the tea. Stop playing, stop playing. Put it in the chat if you want me to give you some tea, some tea. This is information that I didn't even give to people last night. So put it in the chat for me. So Shandia wants the tea. He can give us the tea. All right, clock it. That's what I'm talking about, Ms. Baranowski. Clock it. All right, so they're going to open beta testing part 2 on September 1st. If you guys want to go ahead and try to do your FAFSA early. But I was on a webinar earlier today and they already opened up the beta testing. So you guys, I'll give you a link towards the end. So somebody remind me towards the end to drop that link in there because I forgot to open it up on my other screen. But you guys can go in and test it out this weekend. and next week. And if you get through the whole thing and they say that they received it, then you don't have to do your fast for later. So how many of you guys would like that? Drop that in the chat. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way now. All right. And what they were saying on the webinar that I was on earlier today is that the average time that it took people to complete the FAFSA with the parent and the student was between 15 and 30 minutes. Not 15 to 30 days, but 15 to 30 minutes. All right. So remind me at the end and I will drop that link in the chat for you. Okay. And then the third piece of tea, which you guys already know, but just in case you've been living under a rock, there is no more class rank for the class of 2026, okay? So we've told you about that all year last year. So what's going to happen is that when you guys do your common application, and I have a form that I'll give you for that, you guys are going to be reporting deciles, which means that they're going to take the whole class, which we already done, and split you up into 10 groups, okay? So the top decile, if I'm not mistaken, the average is like 4.17 to like 4.8 or something like that. And so that's the top group in the deciles. So there are about 48 students in that group. So what happens is we have a form called the school profile that we send the colleges when we send your information in, your transcript and your letters of recommendations, and they will have that information and they can look at the graph that we give them, which I'll give you guys access to that. That's almost finished. And they can look to see where you stand in the class. All right. So that's how they're going to do it. So if you guys are working on your common application, you're going to check off that you're doing deciles, DECILE. Okay. All right. All right. A little bit more conversation in the chat for me. Please drop in the chat and let me know what your biggest concern or concerns are about college planning. What are your biggest concerns? So drop those in the chat for me. I'm going to grab my water real quick. Payment. Absolutely. Financial aspects. Yep. Is everyone else totally fine? No one else has any concerns? All right, essays and how to fill out ECs to look good enough for colleges. Chimdeel, what is an EC?
Like the extracurricular stuff, because like making sure we describe fully what we're doing and making sure like we can put our full potential like out there.
Okay, so EC is extracurriculars.
Like, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Finding the right fit. Essays and finances. Anyone else? Anyone else? Or is everybody else good? What's the new word for good, guys? Because I kind of been secluded this summer. It used to be Gucci about 5 years ago. So what's the word for good now? Drop it in the chat for me. What's the word for good? Great, amazing. So I guess there's no new words. All right, well, we'll keep going. Fire is still fire. Okay. All right, cool. All right. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go through the Norristown area high school process. And again, the key points of all of the slides that you're going to see tonight, I am going to give you access. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and get it for you now, and I'll drop it in the chat. I'm on my other laptop from school, so let me put that in here for you. All right, so what I'm getting ready to put in the chat is the link to my website at school. And it's the tab that has the class of 2026 information on there. Okay. So you guys should see that in the chat. You can open it now if you want to. And then the slides will go in there later. I had to make some corrections on these slides. Okay. So your school counselor is going to act as the primary contact in regards to all of your college applications. Okay. So after scheduling is over, which will be the second or third week of school. They're going to call you guys down in small groups. It could be a group of 5, it could be a group of 3, just to kind of go over in general what the college planning process is. And then after that, you can decide if you want to meet with your counselor individually or if you want to meet with me individually, okay? After that group meeting, again, you'll have your individual appointments for individual students. Your counselor is also responsible for uploading your transcript and letters of recommendations to SCORE, which is our college planning process platform. So you guys should have received an email from me either last week or the week before last with information about SCORE, and then I sent you access to it twice, okay? So you need to make sure that you open it. And what we've been going through a lot, trying to make sure that everything in there looks really good. We really like this program. It's very user friendly. It kind of, the app kind of has a vibe to all the other apps that you use for social media. And it's just really easy to use. Okay. So we're going to put your transcripts in there after scheduling is over, the third week of school. And what that also means is that we will not, NOT, not be sending any transcripts out to colleges until the third week of school. Okay, so you can send them some things, I can send it to you, but the universal answer before that time is going to be no, because we want to make sure that your roster for this year is on there. And once we send one for one person, we got to send them for everybody else. Everything's going to be fine. No one has any September deadlines. And I would even say 90% of the colleges don't have an October deadline. So you guys will be totally fine. Okay. Also, your counselor is going to assist you with anything else like registering for the SATs, maybe light review of looking at your essay, maybe help you contacting colleges for random issues. So again, across the country, the counselors are the people who are actually the primary person helping the student with these applications, okay? All right. So before I move on to the next screen, does anybody have any questions about this one or anything else? So real quickly, I'm going to look in the chat, see if anyone has any questions. And then if I don't see any questions in about 5 seconds, 10 seconds, I'm going to move on to the next slide. Okay. Or actually, I'll move on to the next slide. And if I see the question, how many essays do you need? So you guys have been on the Common App. So for those of you who were in our senior year prep for juniors program that we had during the spring, we spent about 3 of those sessions working on the Common App. So you guys are going to go on the Common App, and I'll go on here on my other screen, and you're going to look for what's called the supplemental essays, the essay prompts for the Common App. There's 7 questions on there, and for the most part, the colleges will allow you to pick which question you would like to submit. Okay, so there's 7 questions on there. Okay, what else? Do the meetings include virtual students? Yes. So any virtual students, when I do the meetings with the small groups, I have a monitor in my room that students can join us as we do it together. And so I'll have maybe about 3 or 4 workshops as large groups while the counselors are still doing scheduling. So absolutely. So anybody is here that is virtual. Also, when we have our colleges come to visit, they'll start coming to visit with us on, I think, around September the 16th. The monitor is in my room. You get registered just like everybody else. I turn the monitor on and I put a Zoom link or a Google Meet link in there for every single session. I'll sit there for maybe about 10 or 15 minutes, and then if nobody comes on, then we'll cut the screen off. So you guys will not miss a thing in that regard, okay? All right, so can we only use these prompts? Yes, those are the ones. And actually, question number 7, Shimdia, is write about whatever you want to. So there's 6 specific questions, and then number 7 is write whatever you would like to write. Okay. Okay. All right, now the college and career counselor, me. Okay. So I have a lot of things that I do. My job is predominantly project based. I do a lot of planning of events and things like that. So I organize all of the college recruiter visits. They start coming to our school September the 16th, and they'll be coming up until Thanksgiving break. So generally on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays is when we have them scheduled to come. Usually it's about two of them in the morning and one in the afternoon. I also organize campus tours, i.e. field trips. So I know I owe you guys a couple of field trips. I'm already scheduling some. So in about a week or two, I'll go ahead and release the list of the colleges that we're going to tour this year. Okay. Also, I'm in charge of organizing a college and career fair, which you guys should have attended last year. So you got some practice last year. You'll be able to come back this year and actually go through the fair for real and visit some colleges that you may be interested in. So normally we'll have somewhere around 100 colleges and local businesses. And this year, I'm trying to do between 120 and 150. So right now, our number is at 85. Normally, right now, it's at 45. So I'm pretty confident we'll break 100. And if I can get 120, that'll be really good. Okay. I'm also the person that loads all of your transcripts into SCORE after scheduling is over. Okay. I'll also help you guys getting registered for the SAT, light review of essays, assisting you guys with contacting colleges with specialty issues. There may be some personal things that you may need to talk about, or you have some situations that are specific and might not be, something that everybody else is going to ask. Okay. I'm the primary person to help you guys with your financial aid application. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. And then I communicate your special events, scholarships, and other information with parents and students. Okay. After the group meetings, if students want to meet with me individually, you guys can meet with me as many times as you like. There are some students that have already signed up. They know, Miss Mitchell, I'm going to forget. I'm going to procrastinate. So I have already put them on recurring appointments. So they may be coming once a week. They may be coming every other week. And so if you would like one of those recurring appointments, simply just shoot me an email. Let me know the best block or two to take you out. If it's an A day or a B day, and I'll go ahead and put you on a recurring visit. So I see something in the chat. Is there a schedule of the college recruiter visits that our students will have ahead of time? Absolutely. So, if we have a little break in here, I'll open it up a little bit later on our SCORE program. All of the colleges that are coming so far are already listed in the system. And so right now, I think we have about maybe 20 colleges that are coming to visit. So you guys can go in, look to see who's coming, and register. So if you guys can do me a favor, when we call the break, if you can put a note in the chat for me, because I'm kind of doing everything tonight, to remind me to have that set up. So when you come back, I can show you what that looks like. Okay. All right. All right, part 2. So again, my job is project-based. So parents, I'm going to let you know right now, this is the complaint that you're going to hear. This kind of not accurate, but kind of not. I keep trying to see Miss Mitchell and she is just too busy. She never has time to see me. All right. So this is what happens. There are those who come to my room and they think because they are there that I'm supposed to stop and drop and roll because they are there. And I'm supposed to stop what I'm doing at that moment and do what they need me to do. Even if there's a room full of people that I'm talking to, I'm supposed to stop, right? Students, what you got to do is if you come to see me third period, in most cases, I don't have anything scheduled third period, and you can do a walk-in. On Mondays, I don't schedule any appointments with outside people on Mondays. So in most cases on Mondays, you can walk in as well. And you can make an appointment. If you make an appointment, the reason why people say I'm busy is because I'm with students who are making appointments. So we're trying to get you guys to practice being college students and to practice being adults. And so if you make an appointment, and some of you guys that are on the chat now, you've already made appointments with me before, you know how to do those things, okay? So, and I'll see those students as many times as they need to be seen, okay? So that's what that busy thing is, because I am running around doing stuff, right? Sometimes my door may be closed and you're knocking and I'm in there and I'm not answering because I'm also trying to plan some stuff too. Okay. But if you email me, I'll make you an appointment. Even if you come in while I'm talking to somebody, if I can stop for 30 seconds, I'll make you an appointment right then. Okay. So just make sure that you pay attention to those things. Okay. All right. All right. So now we're going to talk about the role of the student and the parent. Okay. It is highly recommended that you guys make a joint email address, not the school email. Okay. Because why are you guys, if you can drop in the chat, why are we recommending that you not use school email for your applications and your testing? Drop that in the chat. Why are we recommending that you not use your school email? All right, too many emails from different places. All right, any other comments? It's gonna delete. It goes away at the end of the year. Absolutely. Your email will be locked out at the end of the year. Also, you get lots of emails from us and other places. So it's in your best interest, even if you can start a brand new email and only use that for college stuff. So that'll reduce the amount of junk mail that you're getting, and you can kind of unsubscribe from people who are in there sending you things that you're not interested in. Okay. Your job is also to contact your teachers for recommendations and allow them 2 to 3 weeks to get that information for you. Okay, please, 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 because I know at least 3 of you on here are going to do it. Do not ask us the day before or the day of to write letters for you because we have stuff to do. You have stuff to do. Your teachers have things to do. And so we want to make sure that we have time to write a really good letter for you. Okay, so you have to give us 2 to 3 weeks notice. Okay, your teachers will be able to load that information into our score platform for you. And when we meet in the small groups, I'll show you guys how to do that. Okay. And also, I sent you guys an email with the tutorials in it. And so there is a small tutorial in there to show you how to request teacher letter of recommendations. And I'll send that to you again. Parents, you will also have access to score. It's new, so we're still figuring some things out too. So there is a feature in there where I can invite you, but also your student can invite you as well. So if you don't want to wait for me until next week to figure out how to send that to you, your student can actually go in there and there's a button that they can invite you as well. So students, don't worry, your parents can't go in there, your parent or guardian can't go in there and change things and move stuff around. They can just look at things or they can suggest some colleges to you, but otherwise they can't touch anything in your account, okay? All right. You want to also make sure that you keep your counselor abreast of what's going on with your college application process. Don't wait till the last minute, but drop in regularly or send them an email or send me an email and let us know what's going on. Okay. You also want to keep track of your deadlines. I'm not going to do that. Your counselor's not going to do that. Remember, we're teaching you guys how to be young adults. And so you're going to keep track of those. And actually, when you use SCORE, it'll also keep track of all your deadlines in there for you as well. And I'll show you where that is when we meet in those small groups. Okay. So the only deadlines that we're going to keep track of are national deadlines of things, just to remind you. And also, if you gave us something and you need us to send that out by a certain date, then we'll make sure we take care of that. Okay. And you see the other stuff here, 10 rep college visits in the guidance office. So most of them will either be in my office or will be upstairs in the back of the library. There is no limit onto how many of them you can attend, but if I see that you're like down there every day or every period, especially if you're coming out of a class that's a really intense class, then you guys want to make sure I'll have a conversation with you and we can kind of be a little bit more selective in the colleges that you're going to visit with. Okay. All right. All right. So before I move on, are there any questions about the slides that we went over so far that I didn't answer? All right, so I'll keep going, but if I see something pops up in the chat, I will answer it, okay? All right, so when you guys are working on your applications, these are what drives everything about your application process, okay? And before I even go into this, To be honest, most of the schools that you guys are going to be applying to, you can get in there by yourself. We really don't have anything to do with getting you in there because most of the colleges have a very simple process of how they accept students. And if you have the GPA that they're looking for, the rigor of your courses, as far as if it's a weighted honors or AP class, or it's like biology too, is something that's above what the average student will take. They're looking at your extracurricular activities, your essay, letters of recommendations. As long as you follow all of the rules and you meet the criteria, the majority of the schools, you'll be accepted. It's the schools that are very highly selective. Those are the ones that you need our help or expertise just to give you a heads up and a leg up on those particular items, okay? All right. So you guys know, just in general, if you're getting an A, it's like a 4.0, a B is a 3.0, C is a 2.0. And if you have honors classes, this is just an example. The A will be worth, let's say, 5 points instead of 4, or 4 points instead of 3. So that's not the exact number that our school uses, but the concept is still the same. So you will be rewarded because you're taking more advanced classes, okay? So when colleges receive your transcript, every school does their grading differently. So generally what they will do is they'll take your grades and give everybody who has an A the same value. So let's say they'll use what's here on the screen. Then they'll have a separate category that they'll score you in to see how many advanced classes you have, what type of grade did you have in that class, what type of advanced class in it is it, et cetera, et cetera. And that's how they will differentiate students from each other, okay? All right. So these are different types of colleges that you guys will be applying for. And when we use the word college, we're not just talking about a 4-year school. We're talking about community college. Some students will go to a community college and they may take a couple of classes just to learn about some things. They may go for a certificate that may take them 6 months or a year to get in a certain topic area. And then traditionally, students will go and get what's called their associate's degree, which is a 2-year degree. Okay. And when they say 2 years, in most cases, to be honest, it doesn't take 2 years unless you go during the winter session and the summer session, because sometimes they may not give you a lot of classes your first or second semester. Okay. Secondly, some of you may be attending a trade or a technical school, which is very popular now. Now, when I went to school in the late 1900s, that was the beginning of the push where they wanted everybody to go to college and the trades. Nobody really wanted people to go into the trades, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now everything has flipped back. Okay. The trades are becoming more and more popular, to the point where now at Central Micro Technical High School, pretty much anybody who applied for my school got into, but now they have quotas of how many students from each school can go because it's become that popular. Okay. You also can attend a public or a state college. So those are going to be like your Kutztowns, your IUPs, your Cheney, your East Stroudsburgs, your Mansfield. Those are all your public or state colleges. Okay. Then you have your state-related colleges or state-affiliated colleges. So there are 4 of them in Pennsylvania, okay? So that's Temple, Penn, State, University of Pitt, and Lincoln University. And so basically what state-related means is that the college is kind of like a private school, but then they get some money from the state of Pennsylvania. Public colleges get a lot of money from the state of Pennsylvania, okay? And then you have your private schools, okay? So your private schools are like your Drexels, your University of Penn, University of Chicago, Arcadia, okay? Your Villanova. So anytime you go private, that means that the colleges are going to cost more. However, that means that they're going to have more financial aid to give to students as well. Okay. And as you go into certain schools, maybe like a Westchester that's a public or a private, sometimes the GPA requirement may be a little bit higher. Okay. So that's the general gist to kind of differentiate the different types of colleges from each other. All right. So everything begins and ends with college fit. Okay. I forgot to take this off. I looked for this early. That flyer on there is from last year, so just act like you don't see it. All right, so you guys can go to a lot of different sites to start building your list together, okay? You can look at College Navigator. We'll talk about that in our other small groups. Score, that's our new platform. Big Future by College Board, where you sign up for the SATs, has a really good site that you can use to start putting your list together, okay? Fairtest.org. That's a site for those of you who are not good test takers, and I'm going to raise both of my hands on that one. So when you go on fairtest.org, it will give you a list of every college in the country that does not require test scores. And there are over 1,500 schools. It might even be like 2,000 schools that do not require test scores. Okay. So as you're putting your list together, if you're that person that doesn't test well, which is probably most of us, then you can use that to try to put your list together. Chat GPT. So I know we tell you guys you can't use Chat GPT for your essays, but you shouldn't be using it for anything that you're going to be turning in for a grade or for evaluation, but you can use it definitely to do some research, right? You can use it to say, hey, I'm majoring in mechanical engineering. Can you give me all of the schools in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware that offer mechanical engineering? And they also have field hockey as an extra, not an extracurricular activity, but I forget. Sometimes you take your sports as the sport where you're playing for like Division I, Division II, NCAA, and then sometimes you take it intramural. That's what they call it, intramural sports. And so Chat GPT can do that stuff for you, all kinds of things. So definitely use that as well. Okay. You also want to start thinking about the career you want to go into, which could change 12 times, and the type of money that is associated with those careers. So you can go on my college scorecard, you can go on my next move and do that research. And what I will say to you guys is that there's a I've been watching a lot of YouTube, but actually I watch a lot of YouTube anyway, but this summer, it's a lot of discussion about AI. And so another thing that you guys need to do is to do some research, and I'm going to give you this link too. I'm putting it all together, so I'll put that out to you next week. But you want to start looking at what jobs will AI be replacing in the next 2 to 5 years. There are a number of careers now that AI is kind of wiping out certain jobs just because AI can handle that for that particular company. Get comfortable with using all different types of AI apps, because if you know how to use AI and make your life more productive as far as the jobs that you have at that particular company, then you can pretty much increase your chances of being hired because you know how to leverage AI. Okay. So you really want to do that. So they have look at also some colleges that may have some AI courses and maybe some AI minors, okay? Next, you have something called Common Data Set. Common Data Set, we mainly use that if you guys are trying to see if a particular school is going to take your SAT or ACT scores, and if you should submit them. So we'll talk about that at another time, okay? And then lastly, on this screen, we have the deadlines that you guys are going to be looking at. Hold on one second. My other computer's about to lose some charge here. Okay. So the first deadline that you guys have is rolling admissions. So rolling admissions, what does that mean? Drop that in the chat for me. What does rolling admissions mean? Rolling admissions. Because for those of you who are in my senior prep for juniors class, we talked about all of these things. What is rolling admissions? Okay. No set deadline. Absolutely. No deadline at all. They will keep accepting students until they have filled their list, okay, or filled their quota, okay? Regular decision. What is regular decision? Drop that in the chat for me. What is regular decision? Regular decision deadline. What does that mean? Regular decision. Okay, so when colleges accept most, if not all, of their applications. Very, very, very close. Not binding. Very, very close. So let's mix those two together. So regular decision means that they have an exact deadline. Okay. So it could be January 1st, January 15th, February 1st, February 15th. And before I forget, because I don't think it's in my notes here, and I meant to put it on the handouts that I'm going to give you guys, the typical date, a good date for you guys to really have all of your items in is Thanksgiving. That's like the national suggested deadline. Regardless of what the deadline is for your application, Thanksgiving is a good time. Okay. All right. Early action. What is early action? Drop that in the chat. You guys are doing a great job. So early action. What does that mean? That's where it starts to get a little tricky. Early action. Come on. You know. Shoot your shot. Shoot your shot. Early action. So early, apply early, non-binding. And then earlier time where you can apply, but if you are accepted, you are locked in with that school, is binding and the student is locked into the deal. So early action means that you're going to apply early, you're going to get accepted early, but you do not have to make a commitment. Okay. So you can apply early action to as many schools as you like, with the exception of Princeton University and some other schools. Princeton University has something called restricted early action, where you can only apply early action to Princeton. Okay. So it's non-binding. But early decision is binding. So if you are applying to that school early and you get accepted, you also have to do your financial aid application early with that one, and something else in most cases called the CSS profile, or the college scholarship search. And in those cases, they want you to come there. They're expecting you to come. So it's very rare that students from our school do early decision. If they do, you can't do it by accident, because your counselor has to sign off on it. The student has to sign off and the parent has to sign off on it. But there are some circumstances where we really will strongly suggest and co-sign that you do it, you know. And so we'll talk to you guys on a case-by-case basis about early decision. But if financial aid is an issue, then we highly recommend that you don't do early decision. But there are some schools that have financial aid packages that are for students that are considered low income students, that if they get into those colleges, they will be free if their income is under a certain amount. So again, if you want to do early decision, just talk to us on a case-by-case basis. Okay. Early decision 2 is something that's come out in the last couple of years, and basically they're taking all the scraps from the other schools that did early decision 1 and they didn't get in. And so they're setting up another early decision. Okay. And then you also have your specialty deadlines like nursing, engineering. So you guys really want to pay attention to those deadlines. I would highly recommend, if your grades are really good, if you had a lot of rigorous courses, that you definitely do those early action deadlines, especially if you are applying to Villanova, for example. So Villanova, if you do their early action deadline, they also have their presidential scholarship that is a full ride scholarship. Is not connected to income. It's strictly merit-based, a merit-based scholarship. But you can only be eligible for that scholarship if you do the early action deadline. If you do their regular deadline, you won't be eligible. Okay. Also, when you guys do these earlier applications, those are the students that get the jump on the money first. Okay. But if you get them done by Thanksgiving, you'll be fine. I don't think this is in our screens either, so just write this down. If you are planning on applying to Penn State University, you want to get that in by Thanksgiving as well. Okay. November 1st actually is their priority deadline if you're trying to go to main campus. I can't remember if it's November 1st or if it's November the 30th. But for right now, we're going to have that Penn State main campus application in by November 1st. Okay. I'll recheck just to see if that date changed this year, but November 1st. Okay. Main campus. All right. Any questions so far? We're almost done with this section. We're going to take a short little break. Okay. So I'll look and see if anybody's, what is a good time zone to have early action in by? It's just midnight by your time zone. That's a good question, Evan. Okay. All right. College Fit. So we've talked about the acronym SLAM in our class that we had. So it's for your social, location, academics, and money. So you want to make sure that you use that acronym when you're putting this list together to make sure that one, the school has the major or the major course of study that you want to go into, that socially they have what you want. Do they have the sports that you want, the extracurriculars? Do they have clubs that you want, right? Do they have fraternities and sororities? You know, what is it that you want to do to spend your free time in? Do they have those things for you? Location. Do you want to be close to home or do you want to go far, far, far away? Do you want to be in the city? Do you want to be in a rural area? So those are some things that are important to consider. Academics, we talked about that. And money. How much does it cost to go there? So just a word of advice, I kind of recommend to you guys not to look to see how much that school costs and make that the sole determinant if you're going to apply or not. If everything else fits for you, apply anyway, because you never know. You may get some merit scholarships or some need-based scholarships from that particular school. So you have until May 1st to make a decision where you're going to go. So if it fits everything that you're looking for, keep it on your list. Okay. We want you guys to make sure that you apply to 6 to 12 schools. So again, since you guys have those fee waivers for the SAT or the ACT, you also get them for applications. It is very rare that you guys have to pay for any application fees at Norristown. Okay. And then if there is a situation, just let us know and we can wiggle around that, but it's very rare that that will happen. Unless you're going to apply to a lot of the HBCUs or historically black colleges and universities, they do not take fee waivers, but they do have an application. If you see on number 6, the Black Common application where you pay $20, but you can apply to 65 schools. So again, when you look at historically black colleges and universities, they've been around since the late 1800s. Anybody can apply and anybody can attend an HBCU. It's just historically African American students have gone to those schools because we weren't able to go there in the 1800s. That's all that is. Okay, but that application is $20. Okay, so 6 to 12 schools. You can apply to as many schools as you want to, but just keep in mind that the more schools that you apply to, that means you have to keep up with all of those schools, right? You want to kind of keep that number small. All right. So you want to apply to 2 reach schools. Those are schools that you closely fit the criteria and you could get in, but it's very competitive. Or your application looks perfect, but it's Harvard, it's Princeton, it's Yale. Everybody's applying to that school, right? And so those are going to be reaches for you or for everybody actually. 2 target schools. Those are schools that on paper you check off all the boxes and you should be accepted, you think, but you just don't know what the application process is with the admissions office for that particular school. Okay. And 2 safety schools. By far, you meet the criteria for that particular school. Okay. And then we also like to have you put 2 colleges that you can commute to. Why are we asking you to put 2 colleges that you can commute to? Drop that in the chat for me. Why are we asking you to do that? Why are we asking you to put 2 schools that you can commute to on your list? Okay, so it costs more to live at the school. And just in case you can't pay for housing, absolutely, right? So we want you to go ahead and apply to all those schools at the beginning. So we're not running around at the end when you get all these letters and you get some of these financial aid letters that are outrageous, right? So you'll already have those in there, okay? Selectivity, and there's another screen that we'll look at, so we'll get to that later. Your testing, your supplements that you need to come up with, which are letters of recommendations, your essays. So even if you see that it's an optional essay, we don't believe anything is optional, because remember, most of your schools now are test optional. So it's giving you one less avenue that college can assess you by. So when we do these essays, it's giving them more information about you to be able to assess you and get a better feel for who you are as a person, okay? Your activities and resumes, your demonstrated interest. If you show that you're interested in this school, they actually have software. They're kind of like Google, right? They know when you open the email, how long it took you to open, how many times you open it, all the websites that you clicked on. They know all of those things. Also, if you've been visiting, if you're doing online webinars with them, right? They're documenting those things. Some schools don't do demonstrated interest, but a lot of them do. You also want to see if you can tour some of these places. So I know some of these places are really far, but actually some of these colleges, and I'll give you this link as well, but you can just Google colleges that do fly-ins, FLY-INS. Some of these colleges, you can fill an application and you qualify for them to literally fly you out on a Friday, and then you come back home on a Sunday and you can tour that particular campus. So we have a student that applied to Pomona College last year. His name is Raphael. And Raphael applied for the flying program. Raphael was going to go somewhere else. They flew him out to Pomona. He fell in love. I'm not saying he fell in love with the person. He fell in love with the campus. And that's all he's been talking about since he got back. And he just went to got to Pomona the other day. So if you're able to go visit, definitely go visit them, okay? And then your application types. So you have your common application, your Black common application, your traditional college application, which means you're going on the site and applying. And when we go back to the common application, you can apply to up to 20 schools on the common application. You fill out one application. It is long though, so that's why we wanted you guys to start working on these things early so that you can have some attention to detail when you're doing these applications, okay? All right. Any questions before we move on to the next screen? Because we're almost finished this section. Any questions? Want to make sure I'm not going too fast and give you time to ask your questions. So you can drop them in the chat. So I'll keep going, and if I see a question, I will stop. All right. So your odds of acceptance. This is the thing right here. We need you guys to make sure, again, we're doing those two reaches, at least two reaches, two targets, two safeties, because I can't tell you how many of you guys are going to put all reach schools on your list because you're so fabulous. Now, you are fabulous, right? But let's be realistic. You most likely will not get into all of them. Some students do. We did have a kid a couple of years ago that got into every Ivy and got on the wait list to Harvard, but that's not a regular thing that happens across the country, right? So you want to make sure that you look at this, and again, you can take a picture of it. I'm going to send you all of these slides on a link. If you're going to a highly selective college to apply to, these are the GPAs that they may be looking for, right? And this is the acceptance range. Moderate, not selective, open, okay? Rigor of work that they're looking for, extracurriculars, leadership, okay? So when you guys are doing the common application, they'll give you space to write down 10 activities. So for those of you who have 30 activities on there, we know good and well you went to a meeting for the anime club and you never went back, but you checked off that you're in the anime club. We know all your tricks, right? So you want to put down the 10 activities that you spend the most time in, and maybe you have some leadership positions in and things like that. Now, some of you might not have any activities, or you might just have one because you have other responsibilities at home. You may have to work and you can't stay after school, or you may have to babysit your siblings and you can't stay after school. So there is a section in the Common Application now where you can check off and give some information about that, because they're not going to penalize you. It's not your fault that you couldn't participate in all these activities, okay? So just be mindful of that while you're looking through your Common Application, okay? All right. So we're going to take a little break, maybe a 5 or 10-minute break. Drop in the chat for me if you want that break to be 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Drop it in the chat. So I need to get some time to put these links together for you again. All right, so we got 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Y'all are quick with it. All right, 5 minutes. So this is what else we're going to do, because I forgot that I was on my semi-paid version of Zoom and it's going to time out for us. So what I want you guys to do when we go on the break, I want you to leave the event and come right back on, okay? So we're going to go ahead and take our break. So everybody's going to log out and we're going to log right back on, okay? All right. So I'll see you in 5 minutes.